Hi, everybody. It's Marcy from wavesofcommunication.com. I'm doing a little camera jockey today because I had a very last minute technology glitch I had all this wonderful graphics prepared for you for this video today, and it all just kind of discombobulated at the beginning. So that's the thing about going live. It is what it is. Fortunately, I have my wonderful waves behind me, and we'll get into this. It's a really important topic, and today, welcome for all of you who are joining me. Let me just kind of rewind and start over. I got discombobulated when the technology goofs up. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Marcy Melzer, and I'm an intuitive speech language pathologist and language facilitation consultant. And today I'm going to share with you my equipment list for language facilitation. Now, I often talk about in my videos, you may have heard me even talk about toy minimalism and not needing very many things to do language facilitation. However, understanding that parents are going to be home with your kids more than expected this year, it behooves you to have your toolkit ready to be your child's best language facilitator. And today I'm going to talk about 10 things that you need to have on your equipment list. And you can prepare and gather these things in a very short period of time, probably within the next day or so. And I believe that when you have this arsenal, this equipment list all put together and accessible to you, that you will always have language facilitation opportunities available to you every single day, 365 days of the year, no matter the weather, no matter what's going on. So this equipment list is going to be really important for those of you who are new to the channel and those of you who have been following me for a while, because now is your chance to get restarted with your plan for 2021. And it's going to be really important that you have all these things. It's not, if you don't have them all, it's not like you're not going to be able to do language facilitation. This is your equipment list for success, so that you always know when you're prepared to do. So let's see, I've got some notes here I'm going to look at. So hi, Ramya. Nice seeing you. Thank you for joining me. Anybody who's taking a break maybe over the holidays from your language facilitation videos, this is going to be a great one for you to get started on. There's Laura. Hi, everybody. So like I said, it's kind of a casual start. I didn't have my whole prep together. I like to have things all put, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. And again, because I have an equipment list here, always I have sort of a second or a backup plan in case things fail. That's exactly what I did today, because I didn't want to miss this video with you. And that's why you need to have an equipment list too. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Sorry for rambling on. Let me get to the list. Okay, so number one thing on the list is an art or school box, okay? And this list is going to, or this box is going to be full of the things that you want to put your child's academic needs and art needs, equipment for it, all together in one place where you have actually can access them all the time. So the graphic I put together for this has this little guy who's got a backpack, and he's putting all of his things in his backpack because he knows where they all are. And I think it's helpful for parents and it's helpful for kids to know where all those things are. In my house, we always had a wooden bench that had the school supplies, because there's always a need for school supplies. And if you keep your school supply box stocked, then you're always going to have what you need whenever you have a school or art activity. So some of the things that I suggest that you put in this box are a variety of writing tools and paintbrushes. Fat, thin, short, long, all different kinds. If you pick them up at the dollar store or wherever they are, or if you've got them around your house, gather them all together in one kind of container in your school box, okay? The next thing is a variety of paper: thin, thick, big, little. Gather the paper that's floating around different places of your house and put it in your art bucket, so your art box, so you always know where it is, okay? And coloring books too should be in your box. Let's see. The next thing that I have in there is general school supplies, similar to the things that your kiddo would be using at school. It's very good for you to have these things at home. So you'll need paint, scissors, glue, stickers, tape, sticky notes, rulers, okay? And then I also really suggest paper clips and binder clips in your box, because you can use them for anything and you always know where they are. It's common in families, where they've got stuff, office supplies, school supplies around, but it's super helpful if you have them all in one box. Even if you've got a room for your school learning time or whatever you're doing at home, your child's playroom or something, you should have a box that you only have access to that has these things in them. So you always know that whenever I need paper, you know what's in there, you know what's in that box, because that's how I worked when I was with my kids all along in life. I always had an idea of what was in that box. And if you've got a school box, this is a time to go through it so that you know what's in there. The other thing that you need to have in your school box, and it could be big or little depending on, the level of your child and the level of school and art things that you use frequently. Okay, these are going to be things that you need a lot. You don't need to have the whole store in your house. You need to gather the things that you know you're going to need on a regular basis. Okay, and we'll talk more about what those things are, how you'll know a little later. And then the other things that you can put in your school and art box that I recommend is recycled containers, tubes and bottles from soap, things like that. Always those are great to make things out of, build things out of, things like that for STEM, right? For all your science, technology, math, you're going to build and do experiments and things like that. You might need some of these containers, leftover tubs from your, things, dips and stuff that you get, margarine. You put that in your box so that you have those things ready. You can pour paint in them. And then the other thing that you should have in your school and art box is old shirts for painting and getting dirty, and an old plastic tablecloth or old sheets, things like that you can cover up and have things ready, because you don't want to have paint and then not have the things available to do painting in the same box. You want to have everything available. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So the number one thing on your equipment list is a school art box full of the things that you know are in there. Go through yours if you haven't, and check it all out that way. Okay, color, pencil, crayons, exactly, Ramya. Well, all the things that you need, but not just the things that you have in your house. As you're out shopping and you see things, those are what you want to think. Ooh, I want to try this with my child. Potential things that you use, the things that you use anyway, and also the things that you use later that you plan on. Okay, and that's what we're going to get to next. So the next thing that you have, I cut your shapes from pizza box. Shapes from the pizza box. Excellent. All of those things that you have, recycle things, are going to be helpful. It's all depending on how much you have for storage. But this box, a ready, set, go box where you can go to do your academic and art kind of things, is a definite must on your list for language facilitation equipment. Okay. All right, let's go on to number 2. And the number 2 thing on your equipment list is a pretend play box. And this box has a variety of things in it as well. And here's my suggestions. Okay, so you want to have fancy clothes in that box. So dress up things, dress up things that you had, things like that. Halloween costumes. You can get ones that you wore, gather them and put them in your box, or get donations. Now, if you go to Goodwill, you're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff come up periodically. You're going to see leftover after the holidays kinds of things. And next Halloween, even before, as things start to get put out, you can gather Halloween costumes for your dress-up play box. You also want to have props for community jobs in your play box, jobs that your child might be interested in. If you're a doctor, or you go to the doctor, or your child has medical needs, you want to have doctor things in there so that you can pretend play about the doctor experiences that you have for work and your child has in their life, if they have to go to the doctor often. You want want to have things that relate to your job. If you're a plumber or a mechanic, or, the dad in the house or the mom in the house does something out in the world, business person, you want to have things like a briefcase. Get your old cell phones and put them in there. Those kind of props for the jobs that you relate to in your life, and the ones that your kids likes too. So if your child really likes to watch videos about, different career paths that they like, firemen, things like that, then you'll want to get props in their box so that they can act out the things that they enjoy, okay? And then you also want to have props in your pretend play setup for everyday roles. So you need to have a baby in there. Even if you have a boy, you should have a baby doll, something, especially if there's babies in your world, if there's little siblings or there's babies at school that kids see, there should be baby dolls in your pretend play. If that's something that you have babies in your world, there should be a baby doll in there that you can relate to and talk with about your child. You can tell these stories during your pretend play, and then your child will learn all kinds of vocabulary about these topics of interest. So props for everyday life roles include your play kitchen, dishes, all of those kinds of things, because those are the things that your child sees every day, where they might not see the career things, where you're going out to work, especially if you're a firefighter, they might not see on the job things very much, but they will see if you're cooking and doing laundry and ironing and gardening and things like that. So you'll want to have props that your child can do. Use the old ones that are worn out, things like that, in your pretend play box. So that it doesn't matter if they get broken, it's the old one, right? It doesn't matter if they get torn and your child's running around wearing your old, prom dress. That's okay, because the point of having this pretend play box is creating opportunities, right? Now, the other thing you want to include with your pretend play setup is mirrors, right? You want to have a full-length mirror so your child can see the dress up, and you want to have hand mirrors. So if you do makeup or any kind of dress up like that, there's always the opportunity for the child to look at themselves, and you want to look at yourself in the mirror while you play dress up with them to show them how they can admire what they've done, how they can look at their own reflection and learn from that. So pretend play must include mirrors, okay? And then also pretend play should include a good pretend play box is going to include stories. So if your child likes to listen to stories, you might have audio stories where somebody's telling a story and you're playing with props while you're listening to a story about a boy going to the doctor, and while you're playing with your doctor kits. You don't have to come up with the story if you've got one pre-recorded. So that's a good idea. Look for audio books, or, there's even YouTube videos. You don't have to watch the video, just listen to it while you play with your props. It will give you ideas to create the stories that will allow you to facilitate the language for your child. So audio recordings of stories should be in your pretend play box. And then also music that does not have words for drama, because if you're making movies and telling stories, think about what kids watch on video. There's always background music. If you want an upbeat whatever, then you have upbeat music. If you want to make dramatic things like you're playing ghosts or monsters or things like that, use some of those soundtrack kinds of things that have the big, orchestras in the background that will help you create this image, the whole image of being in a movie with your pretend play. So if your kids like superheroes or the big, cinematic kinds of things, or even the cartoons, the animated films that are out, have a lot of action in them. And that background music, maybe you can't fly, but when you've got that background music and you're running around with a towel tie around your neck, you almost feel like you can fly. You feel like you're in the movie. It helps create the mood and emotions for it. So music is a great addition to your pretend play box. And then the last thing for your pretend play box is video recording. And you don't leave it in there, but you definitely don't want to forget to take film, record these events, these pretend play opportunities, because it is amazing opportunity that you can, take pictures, take image of these things, these pretend play games and things that you do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to play them later with your kids when you don't have the box out or whatever. You can do it with the box or without the box. But even if you're snuggling in bed, you can watch those videos of your previous pretend play and facilitate the language all over again. So it's really important that you definitely have your video recording handy and make it a regular thing that you record make movies that they can play on the big TV, cast them on the big TV. Then they become, literally, you've got background music, you've got your kiddo flying around. It looks like they are Superman or Spider-Man or whoever they want to be. And this is how your pretend play should be. It should really feel real. And then when you add language to those feelings, it helps bring all of that behavior into the spoken language world. And that's what pretend play for language facilitation is all about, okay? Pretend play is my favorite. So the academic and art boxes, more kids are interested in those things, and then other kids are interested in pretend play, but every parent should have both. Even if your child doesn't do academic things, get an academic box because you want them to be doing those things, and you're never going to have those opportunities without it. So your academic-y box, your arty box, that's going to be sit at the table kinds of things or on the floor in one place, but the pretend play can happen anywhere. And if you've got your box ready with your things to go, you can take those equipment and move it around or, all that. So it's important that you have both of those things. All right, let's move into number 3. This equipment list is getting long because each one has its own. All right, let's see. Here we go. The third thing that I have is a general play box. So this is different than your art and academic box, and it's different than your pretend play box because this has actual materials that you can use to create games which are challenging and cause kids to develop skills, but are super fun. So games, because games are challenges typically. Who's going to win if there's competition, or you challenge yourself to see how fast or how high or how many you can do kinds of things. And so when you have a box of materials prepared to create games, then anytime there is boredom, you can pull out a game. So here are the things that you should I recommend you put in your number 3 play box. And the first thing is card games, where you have cards that have pairs. And it doesn't matter, it can be playing cards, even a regular deck of 52 playing cards has pairs, reds and blacks and numbers, right? But any deck that has pairs of cards, 2 of anything or things that match together, you can create a million card games with those things. You can use them for playing actual games, and you can use them for vocabulary review. You can use them for a lot of things, but it all should be a game with a winner or a you did it, with at the end of this. It isn't just to get through your things. This is different than flashcards for a therapy goal, saying the S sound or identifying vocabulary, whatever. This is only for older kids who like cards and want to spend one-on-one or small group time together with a structured kind of activity. So in this box, card games, that's the only structured game that I have in this game box. You could have a whole shelf full of games to play in your game time in your language facilitation, but that's different than this box. This box is for you to create games and challenges through your life. And games that are pre-made do that for you, but you don't have to have any extra money to go out and buy. Some of them are really expensive. You can create lots of great games with the items I have. So cards are one. You can paper clip things to cards and fish for them. You can do all kinds of things with cards with images on them, okay? The next thing that you want to include in your play box is scarves, bean bags, and balls. of all different sizes, shapes, weights, whatever. You can have a bag of scarves, a bag of bean bags, a bag of little balls, a bag of big balls, one big ball that you have that you use to play a game, a kickball, like a playground ball that you can actually kick and throw, a football, something like that. And then you want to have smaller ones that you can throw in buckets or baskets or sort or, things like that, juggle even, right? Bean bags are the same. You'll be able to throw them. You'll be able to sort them. You'll be able to do different things, balance them, weight things down so you can have things around. Bean bags are great for your play box. They sit on a lot of teachers' shelves, not using them very much. And if you have it in your play box, then you'll know I've got these things in my list and I've got to find games. And everything you put in there, as soon as you buy it, you buy a box of balls, you got a little balls, go to Google and search for games to play with little balls, games to play with big balls, games to play with scarves. And for all levels of kids, this is what a lot of educators are doing right now, is providing these kinds of things. But if you don't have these materials in your house, then you're just going to scroll past those ideas when you see them on YouTube. And so now you've got those materials in your play box so that you can start to play these games on your own, okay? Other things for your play box: balloons and bubbles. I'm not a big fan of balloons, but a lot of kids love them. They're really bad for the environment. So look for bio-friendly ones. And if your child loves balloons, make sure you clean up after them, okay? Keep them in trash, okay? So the other thing that I like for play box, kids love balloons and bubbles, so I could not say them. All right, so the other thing that kids love is sidewalk chalk. And maybe they don't know how to use it, but you can draw any game. Hopscotch, Foursquare. You can draw a snake on the ground for your kid to walk on. You can draw obstacle course, X's for them to jump on, leapfrog pads, all that stuff with sidewalk chalk so with sidewalk chalk for outside, masking tape or painter's tape for inside. So anything that you do outside with chalk, you can do inside with painter's tape. It'll stick to carpet, it'll stick to linoleum, it'll stick to concrete, it'll stick to anything temporarily for a little short period of time, just like chalk, right? Outside, the rain would wash it away, or a hose or something like that. Inside, you pull it up all at the end and you got a big wad of tape that you put in the trash. But that will help you a lot. Designate areas. You can block out my space, your space, section out areas to sort things in when you have chalk or masking tape, okay? Painter's tape. All right, so the next thing in your play box, still going with the play box, is water and sand toys. Little handheld things that you can take anytime there is water or sand around. Put them in a Ziploc bag, a little baggie of each, okay? So if you live near water, a waterfront, a lake, ocean, whatever, take your sand and water toys to dig and find, shells or rocks or whatever. Make mud pies, those kinds of things, that you have them in your ready to go play box. So when these opportunities come to play, if you're living where it's cold right now, you take your sand and toy and you play in the snow with those things. If you live where it's hot, you take them in the sand and play with them. It's all about what you have around, but you want to have those toys ready to go in a bag in your play box area, okay? So I see more people watching me. Thanks for joining me today. Let's see. I'm going to just see what people are saying around me. If the child has challenges to play games in any way, how can we include them in? This is so the deal about all of this equipment, and the reason I'm giving you so many options, is because there's people watching all over the world with kids who are 18 months and kids who are 28 years old, right? You have to know for your child these boxes that you are collecting. You don't collect things that you think your child should be doing in the future, that you saw on TV and you thought was a good idea. The things you put in your boxes, all three of these, art and pretend play and games boxes, are the things that you know your child likes. That's why I don't like balloons, but I know a lot of kids like balloons. So you got to have balloons in your box if your kid likes balloons. You got to have them in there. because they're going to be asking for them. If they had them at balloons, if they had them one time and it was the best thing ever, you got to have balloons in your box. You got to have bubbles in there. If your kid goes through bubbles and they dump bubbles really fast, put a bottle of dish soap in your box so that you always have those things available. And if the child has challenges or doesn't like to do them, that's a different box. These are for you to work with. Language facilitation. We don't force kids to do things they don't like to do. These boxes are allowing you to teach your child language. When you get hardcore language and your kid starts talking more, then you can work through things that are more challenging. But you have to get baseline language with fun things first, right? So you get it as washi tapes. I'm not sure what that is, but okay. All right. So let's move on and get to our next thing. Let's see all the other things that I wanted to put in this box. Oh, yes. Sorry. A couple more things for the play box that were also potentially in your art box. A parachute or old sheets. Because remember, we've got those bean bags and balls and scarves. You can put those on big sheets. So old sheets from if they get stained or dirty or ripped or something like that, if they've got a hole in them, save it because you can go up and down just like a parachute if a sheet's got a hole in it. So keep those things for your toy play box. And then also include your music player because you're going to always want music with your games, and your video recording device again to make sure that your play time is there. All right. Moving into number 4. The number 4 thing on your equipment list is books, okay? And daily reading time. So every single day, even if your child is not interested in books yet, that should be something that is on your list of making your child work into. So in this case, you're going to have books available and ease your child into exploring with them, because all kids explore with books at different ways. Some kids like the words, some kids like the pictures. I've got a whole video on how to work with books, but there are a few things about these books that I want to remind you about. Okay, so the first thing is you want to choose books for your library that have familiar characters and vocabulary. If your kiddo likes to watch Peppa Pig or, one of their favorite characters, Daniel Tiger or whatever, Mickey Mouse on TV, then you want to get books with those characters, okay? Even if the stories are way above where your child is, you want to try to find ones that are closer or right above where your child's reading level is, even if they're long pictures, because you're going to be working on the pictures first. In fact, that's the number 2 thing, is that it doesn't matter what the words are in the book. As long as it has clear, detailed pictures that your child is interested in with these characters they like, then it's going to be good to go. So the words, doesn't matter how many or how few words the book has. The pictures are what's more important for language facilitation, okay? For reading, you'll move through levels, and teachers who teach reading will teach you all about that. For language facilitation, the pictures are the most important, especially for kids who are late talking and not using words much, okay? Even for kids who are moving into conversation, you might need to do books that are easier than their reading level to get the pictures that you want to talk about, because the pictures allow you to expand the story and provide your thought, commentary, and all of that. And that's what takes kids beyond memorization of what they see into using the spoken language themselves, which is the goal of language facilitation. So the pictures are more important than the words, okay? And you want to choose books that have photographs, nonfiction topics of your child's interest, or topics that you want to introduce them to that are related to the animated things that they like. So, for example, if your child likes the Cars, the animated Cars things, you want to get nonfiction books with things like, bulldozers and all different kinds of vehicles in them, okay? If your child likes animated animals animals, puppets or things like that, you want to get zoo books, right? With facts and photos and movies of animals, that real animals doing what animals do, eating, running around, fighting with each other, all the things that the animals do. You want to get nonfiction books that relate to the things. And if your child only likes rhymes, 1, 2, 3s, and numbers and things like that, then you want to get nonfiction books related to things in your community, right? Just like we did the other box with jobs that you do. So if you work at a construction site, then get books about those things. If you work at a business place that is near a park, or then, get local community-based kinds of books that are nonfiction. If your child likes soccer, get about soccer players like that. Okay, and then you want to choose stories, specifically storybooks that are about feeling happy. I like my hugs, I love you more, Good Night Moon, all of these books about connection and love and feeling happy. And books that just tell the story of that. I just love to be with you. I love to snuggle with you in bed. I love to take walks with you. I love stories about connection and love, because you're reminding your child when you choose those books and present them to them that that's an important thing to you. And you want it to be important. So just as important as your child learning all the ABCs, it's important to have books that teach them how to be compassionate and appreciate the connection with you. And when you offer your child those titles to look at, they know it's important, right? Just like when the teacher brings topics, it's important to the teacher. All right. So you also want to choose stories, and there's so many of them now everywhere, about the challenges that you face, okay, that your child faces. So if your child is late talking, you want to get books about the behaviors that they do. Some of the books like that Ben Blanchett wrote about, I flap my hands when I'm happy, or, sharing books, or feeling mad, or dealing with a baby, sibling arriving, or first days at school, or potty training, or I can't go outside, or, because the weather, whatever. There are lots and lots of kids' books that talk about these challenges. And the thing that a lot of parents don't realize with their late talkers is that they, even though they're not reading and they don't even understand that complex conversation because they're only using single words or less, maybe in a lot of kids' cases, most late talkers understand these stories about their problems a lot easier than they would trying to talk through it or explain things with these abstract pictures of faces. This boy feels sad because of whatever. In storybooks, they tell the whole before, during, and after about the sad child whose, dad had to go away to work on business or something. You know what I mean? These are all the things that go on in families' lives. Don't hide them, push them away, stick them under the closet, and just go happy, happy, happy all the time, because that's not your child's reality. And when they see stories about how the kid and character in the book suffered through what they're suffering through, they can relate to that. And you have the opportunity with that book to talk about those feelings. So it's really, really important that you choose not just all happy, fun books about fire trucks and things. Choose books about the challenges that your child faces. And those challenges more than anybody else, right? Definitely, definitely, definitely. Okay, so let's see. One more thing about these books is that you want to choose books with characters that evolve, that started out struggling, and we did it, we accomplished it, we solved our problem, and we're different people as a result. We're friendlier, like the kid who was a bully, who isn't a bully anymore because somebody called him out on it. That's what usually happens, right? We make mistakes because we test boundaries. I mean, that's what kids do. That's growing up, part of what it is. That's why authors write these books about the challenges. And if your child is older than 4 or 5 years old, you want to really choose stories about characters who evolve and change their mindset that it's hard, I don't want to try, I gave up, and those kinds of things. Because a lot of these older kids, they've been given up on for speech. And a lot of the parents that I've been working with, especially now with these older kids, they have to remind them that they can talk, because so many people in the world have reminded them how what's wrong with them or what they aren't doing or what they don't have yet or any of that. And so you want to choose books about kids who change their mindset, who get over what people say about them and empower them to take action, because they're not going to improve their speech. They aren't, unless they try. And your books should be directed toward empowering your child to solve the biggest problems in their life, not pushing them away. And books are an amazing tool for you to be able to use that. All right, moving into the number 5 tool on your language facilitation equipment list is a language facilitation journal, okay? This is a hard copy book that you get, a blank one that is ready for you to start to keep track of your action as a language facilitator. You will be able to write in this journal, and the things that I'm encouraging you, I'm going to give you a whole way to work with it and a couple more tools, but you have to get the book. You have to get a book. You have to decide to record your process and your journey. And when you do, it's going to provide you with the papers in front of you to describe the specific challenges you face in your household. These are the things that I'm having trouble with. I can't figure this out. I'm struggling with this. This behavior is overwhelming me. I can't whatever. When you identify your problems, just like you identify with your kids, he's struggling with this, you lay them out in the journal, and then they're laid out in front of you, and all you got to do is decide what action to take as you move forward. So also in your journal, because once you lay out these problems and you write them down in your journal, you're going to start looking for resources. You go to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, and you search for the keywords of the things that you're having trouble with, and you start go back to your journal and you record the new strategies that you learn about it. You record the ideas, the concepts, the aha moments that from videos like this. You could have your journal right now scribbling down this list of things to get, so that you have these ideas written down and you're not just scrolling through and thinking about it, whatever. And get your journal handy every time you watch one of my videos or anybody else you watch, so that right there and then you can record these ideas to save them for later, because guaranteed you're going to be distracted in 30 seconds from a little one running around or your spouse or something on the TV or whatever. And if you've got it there in your journal, you'll have it as part of your equipment toolbox, right? You have the ideas written down in your language facilitation journal. And then the last thing that this journal is really good for is, as you write it and you collect all this information about your journey, you have it to share with teachers your child's progress. You're going to write down your child's progress. Oh, this worked and this didn't work and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to have that ready to share with your child's teachers or therapists and things like that. You're not going to have to go back and figure it out, or what did you do? You've got it all recorded right in your journal. And then you'll use it specifically, write down specifically, this worked for me. I need to share this with his therapist. You know, those kinds of notes, highlighted, all those kinds of things, so that later you've got your notes to go back to. Journals are used best in the moment to help you process your ideas, and later on as evidence and records of the things that you did, because your language facilitation journey is your own. You're in charge. Nobody's telling you you've got to submit homework or do anything like this. You're on your own to keep your mindset going with it. And this journal will really, really help you. It's a super important tool that you have to have. All right, let's see. Laura says, my daughter loves books and we use them every day. That's right. That's why books definitely have to be part of your language facilitation list. All right. So after number 5, your language facilitation journal, let's move into number 6, which is a list. So you're going to use your journal, and in your journal, you are going to write down a list of 20 different 21-minute activities. And my graphic says 2021. It looked really cute. you don't get to see it. But anyway, I'll have it on the replay when I edit this video. So what the deal is about this is you want to have a list. You can put it in your journal first, but I also recommend that you post it somewhere, especially if you have older kids. And these are 21-minute activities, start to finish, prep to clean up. 21 minutes, okay? Because that's about the standard attention span of a child. And if you have an activity planned and ready to go, every single time, you got 20 of them on your list, every single time you hear, I don't know what to do, you see your kid getting in trouble and like they're not doing what to do, they're starting to hang on you and you know, never leave you alone kind of things, then you know what to do. Go to your list, pick one of these things, and do it. Now, there are criteria for this 21-minute activities, and here they are. Number one criteria is that you enjoy both watching and you're not opposed to participating as well in this activity. So if one of your choices is put on your swimsuits and go run around in the sprinklers because it's summertime where you live, and you're not willing to either go out and sit there and watch the kids while they do it and even get wet while you're out there, don't put it on this list, because that's it takes more of it, and it's like one of those, we could do it, but right. This isn't that. This is your go-to any minute. I'm okay doing this. Okay. So the criteria is your kids, of course, have to enjoy doing these things. That's an unspoken number one rule. But the main rule is that you have to enjoy it. And number two, it always has to make your child smile. So even when your child is, we're bored, or, we can't go out, or, we have whatever, remember, you've got a whole box of stuff to make a game. You've got a whole box of pretend play, and you've got a whole box of art and school activities. Between all those three boxes, you should easily come up with 20 things you can do that make your child smile. In those boxes, you have stuff that maybe your child is challenged at or whatever, but the ones that always make your child smile go on this list, okay? These things on this 20 ideas, 21-minute activities, I don't know how I'm going to say it. The next one is that they have to be simple to set up. Super simple. So again, if it's not going to take 20 minutes to go change clothes and go do something, right? It has to be quick, easy to set up. And that's why in your art bucket, you've got your drop cloth, you've got your old shirts, you've got everything right there in the box. You can set it up quick. You go over, okay, we're going to paint. Great. Painting is the thing my kids love. I like to do it. I'll sit right here while they do it, and I'll even paint along with them because they want to see you do it. The reason it's going to go 20 minutes or 21 minutes, because if you got a child, let's say, who only has a 2-minute attention span, then your 21 minutes starts when you have the idea, and the activity with your child starts with finding the box, pulling out the things you want out of the box, getting those things ready to go. Which things do we need? We don't need paper clips to paint. We need the paints. We need the brushes. We need paper, but we don't need any of these other things. These other things go away. That's part of your language facilitation. That's why it's a 21-minute activity. It's from the time you think of it, gather the materials, set it up, do the activity, and clean it up, right? That's 21 minutes. Easy for painting, right? Same thing, Play-Doh, any of it. 21 minutes. And the way you get it to last 21 minutes is you say, wait, what else can I do with this thing? If you love doing that activity, then you're going to come up with ideas. Let's paint this way. Let's paint that way. Let's do this way. And then your child seeing you do it will open their mind and broaden them in. And it will help you build your time. You might only get 2 minutes of painting in your 21-minute activity, but if you do it over and over again, every time you paint, you'll get a little bit more time, a little bit less demonstrating how painting looks while your child watches you, and a little more you watching your child, because it could go either way. with all these activities because you love doing it and you're demonstrating to your child. So if you can't play hopscotch for 20 minutes, then you need to have something that's going to expand hopscotch, painting, painting with it, counting the numbers, adding them up, drawing the boxes, all of that stuff, right? Could add up to 20 minutes. You decide, because it's the thing that makes your child happy, right? Now, remember, these 20-minute activities, ideally, you should have 20 for indoors and 20 more for outdoors. But if you have at least 10 of each, you'll be okay, because these are all things you like, and they're things because kids don't mind doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's usually parents who get tired of doing the same thing. Kids don't like to change so much. So if you have 10 of each, in 10 inside, 10 outside, then you'll be good, because if your child wants to go out, and maybe one of these things is a walk, like that should be on everybody's list anyway. It's easy to set up. Everybody likes doing it. You can facilitate language. You can go in any weather. Just put on coats. There's no such thing as bad weather, well, a hurricane or whatever. You know what I mean? So these kinds of activities, inside and outside, and they must include both fine and gross motor activities, because you're going to see your kid feeling antsy and needing to move, and you're going to want to have gross motor things to choose from because you know what they need. Because you're going to suggest this. You're not going to let your child choose from 20. You have the list for you, so you know when you perceive, I got a space here to fill. You go to this list. That's what this list is for. You can include some of them in your everyday things, but this is your space filler, because remember, you've got to get 2 to 3 hours of language facilitation time in every single day. And if you don't have these go-to activities all set up, you're going to be struggling. What do I do? What do I do? It's one of the most common things that people in my program ask me. I don't know what to do to get 2 to 3 hours. Now you know. Okay. The next thing is that this activity, you have all the materials on hand, like I said, because you've got your 3 boxes already ready to go. You definitely already have it before you suggest it. And if it's something your child likes to do a lot, then make sure those materials are handy, because your child might start to suggest these things over, if you have these offered, your child's going to want to start to choose. When they start to talk, they'll ask you to do these things over and over again. And it may be that you've got 20 things on your list, but you only do 5 on a regular basis. That's okay, because if for some reason those 5, none of them are available because there's a hurricane or who knows what, you've got other ones to choose from. Okay. And they all make your child happy. And if you can't find 20 things that make your child happy, bake a cake, have a snack, read a book together, tickle fight, whatever. You can't tickle fight for 20 minutes. You can figure it out, but you could explore it, build a fort, anything, right? These should all be things that your child likes to do. And maybe they're not ordinary, and maybe they are, but they just have to be things that you like, okay? And they also have to be things that your child finds easy. None of these are challenge things, because that's the worst thing ever, is for a kid to be bored and someone say, here, let's, study or do a chore, challenge you to do something not fun. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And especially when you're bored, being bored is not fun. I don't want to replace what's not fun with something else that's not fun. I'm complaining, the kids are complaining because they're bored, because they want something different. They want fun. So it's got to be fun, and it's got to be easy. Okay. And then these 20 things on here need to be safe enough for your child to explore and get crazy with. Okay. Let them run around, let them take risks, let them climb on stuff, let them, do whatever. There have to be some things on your list that are unbridled free play, where your kiddo can get into trouble sometimes, where they fall down and skin a knee, and those kinds of things happen, because kids don't learn unless they test their limits. And there have to be limit testing things. There should be in part of your day any day, but I promise you, that's what kids love to do more than anything, is free play time outside in a gated area where they can do whatever they want, dig in holes, pick up worms, stick stuff up their nose. That's what is going to help you find the most language with your child, is those kinds of things. Safe exploring with all senses. So if your child eats stuff, get non-toxic paint. okay, and Play-Doh. And when your kid eats it, then talk about that. Oh, it tastes yucky. It's not food. It's not for our mouth. Do you like that? We eat food instead of this. Because if you constantly pull things out of your child's mouth, they're going to sneak behind you and eat it, right? They're going to explore with their mouth if that's what they do. And just by you stopping them from doing that is not going to stop them from doing it other places. It's just going to stop them from doing it in front of you. Okay, so these things on this list, you're going to use the things in your boxes. You're going to come up with things and write them down in your journal. 20 things, 10 indoor, 10 outdoor at least of each. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. I've got a couple other. Lois says, take the Christmas cards and on the back, do a design, cut it out, turn it over, put the card back together, a puzzle they make. Exactly. There are ways to come up with a million different kinds of things. And that Lois, that cutting one, you get work on scissor skills, you work on drawing skills, you draw it out and cut on the lines, all that stuff. And you can come up with amazing things to do with your kids when you have these boxes available. So yeah, don't throw out your recycles. Keep them separate, but think about when you put it into your school bin. It has to have a purpose. So you don't just collect Christmas cards and stick them in there and think someday I'm going to do that. Plan it out because your box is going to get full of junk if you don't be careful. And you can clutter it up without planning on the action. Remember, this is not about collecting a bunch of stuff, this video. It's about having the stuff you need to take action. Working with your child. The action is not collecting the stuff. You should be able to collect this stuff literally around your house with what you have right now. You should be collecting ideas and writing those 20 things down. It's more important than it is that. That's why I call equipment in quotes, because now we're moving into this list is one of those things that's not tangible, but it's definitely something that you need, right? Definitely. And I see a bunch of people joining me. Hello to everybody live. I would appreciate really right now if you would like this video and share it with your friends. If you know somebody else who's getting started on language facilitation and they don't know where to start and they don't know what to get on their equipment list, this is a great place to send them. So please share this video with others if you like it. All right, so moving on, we're going to move on. We're at number 7. We've got 10 of these all together. And number 7 is on your equipment list is what I call daily planning time, okay? This is time that you schedule out for yourself alone with your journal where you can start to think about and create your daily plan. Every day, you should make your daily plan. You can't just set it up like these IEPs they have at school where you make a plan and it's good for 6 months and they work on the same goals over and over again. With language facilitation, you are constantly analyzing your child. You constantly are watching them and seeing, and you're analyzing yourself. Is this even working for my kid? Are they even listening to me? Do they even like this thing? Am I wasting my time? Or am I really getting engagement? Am I really getting working? And is this something I want to do again? This is what you will evolve into as a language facilitator when you do what I've said so far, but here is the daily planning time. So when you get your journal, this is what you do every day. The first thing, these are what you should write down every single day. Put your date at the top, start at the beginning with a mindset checked in. How do you feel about your language facilitation work? How is your child responding? Is your child happy? Is your spouse happy? Are other people living in your house happy? What's their mindset about it? And just write a little narrative about so-and-so is doing well, so-and-so is having a hard time buying in, so-and-so won't stop prompting, so you have an idea of what you're dealing with in your day energetically, mindset-wise. It also is a great time for you to intend to start your day like, I'm going to take a work with this. If you do this, and you can do it at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. Just do a mindset check-in first thing. Number 2, you want to review the strategies that you used between the last time you wrote in your journal And now, if you don't get a chance to write every day and you only write once a week, I recommend you read at least a couple days a week. I recommend every day, but I know life gets busy. If you have 5 kids and one of them's a late talker, and having a daily journal time is kind of hard, but you need to have a daily planning time. Even if you do it in your own head, the journal will help you, but it's really important. Mindset first, then you review the strategies that you did this previous period between the last time you did a check-in, and you say, okay, well, that worked, this didn't work. Oh, I was prompting too much. Maybe I didn't see this kind of thing, but it probably was because that's what you'll figure out when you review these strategies. What did you do? What action did you take? Because you took conscious action to facilitate language. Did it work for you or not? That's what you got to know, because if it didn't work, you got to do something different. If it worked well, you want to do it again. Keep it on your plan, right? You also want to record new behaviors and speech that you observe. Anything new, positive or negative. If new is he's talking less, or new is screaming more, or new is screaming less. You know what I mean? Who knows? All of that. New is screaming more. Who knows what it's going to be? You're going to see new, more or less of things, or new things popping up. Write it down, because they are the keys to know where you need to make your changes, okay? And then you want to really look for patterns, okay? Look for patterns in diet, sleep, and activity preferences. Is your child chewing on things and they weren't? Or did they stop chewing on things? Are they listening better or not? Those are indicators that ear fluid is bothering you. Is your child ignoring you more? Is your child off their food? Is your child eating everything in sight? Is your child stopped sleeping or sleeping too much? You'll notice over the course of a week for sure that your child will go in waves. They'll choose ways. Preferences change all the time. When you pay attention to the patterns, it's going to help you immensely when you have your language facilitation, because you're going to decide to roll with those patterns if they're going in a good direction, like more words are coming and screaming is less, or you want to change your intervention if the patterns are going the wrong way. And you're starting seeing screaming more, and it's elevating every day. Wait a minute, what did I do to change this? Call it out on yourself, because it probably is something that you did one way or another that triggered this difference in your child. And if you keep doing it and you keep seeing it, then it's a pattern. And it could be from something you're doing, but it also could be something that's happening in your child. Like I said, maybe their ear fluid is building up, or maybe they're having trauma at school, or maybe something's going on. By watching the patterns, you will see what's going on with your child. All right. You also want to reflect on what caused any changes. Again, why? Why is my child sleeping more or less, or yelling more or less, right? And you want to, if that's a situation, then you got to go back and start Googling and start watching videos and looking at things to find the strategies to deal with this. And that's a lot of times what parents will do. They'll come back on a Q&A and say, I've got so far, but now my child is XYZ. What do I do now? They want to move through, because it's a lifetime journey. And that's when you have to go back and get more resources and learn more, because if you evolve as a language facilitator, your child is evolving with their language, right? You want to evolve together. So you learn the strategies to stay ahead of the development that they're doing. And that's what I try to do for the families in my program. All right. And then you want to look for new strategies you want to try. And then the most important thing that you do when you do this every single day check-in is that you plan the next 24 hours and you say, when is the 2 to 3 hours of language facilitation time going to happen? When is it? Is it going to be morning? Is it going to be during meals? Is it going to be before work, after work? Is it going to be when we go to the park? Is it going to be I'm leaving the nanny to do it? What? Because that is how you know the work gets done. Because you can make plans to make plans to make plans all you want, but unless you schedule it out and you decide the actual activities that you are using, that you're going to dial up your language facilitation to 110, you're going to use your language facilitation talk, you're going to make sure your child's listening, you're going to provide language models that they want to hear and not what you want to hear, and you're going to put all the language in, pour it in, because that's what language facilitators do. 2 to 3 hours a day, that has to happen if you want to see improvement. It's your job to decide. You're the boss. When is this going to happen? And you want to overbook it. You want to say, all right, well, it takes us a half an hour to get dressed. That's a half hour. I might only get 20 minutes. I'm going to have another activity at least, to get my morning in. So before noon, I want to have at least an hour of language facilitation time. Between noon and 5, there's got to be another one. And between 5 and bedtime, there's got to be another one. How are they going to get in there? It doesn't have to be an hour at a time. Remember, it can be 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. You got a whole list of 20, 21-minute activities. It could be brushing your teeth is one of those 21-minute activities if that's what your child loves. Right? And you do it every day, and it's part of what fills your day, right? It's kind of a cheater because you don't go brush your teeth when you're bored, but maybe if your child loves it. It could be anything. Could be anything on this list. And that's the most important thing. In order to get 2 to 3 hours of language facilitation time, you've got to have it going all the time for you, always. All right, so let's see, just looking at comments here, because we are live. If you have a question, you can go ahead and put it in the comments. All right, let's see. Moving into the next one is number 8. And this is what I recommend you add to your equipment list. And it is a language facilitation mantra. And a mantra is a phrase that you use for yourself to keep you on track, especially when you get triggered. So my graphics got this lady literally hitting a brick wall because she, who knows, somebody said something about her kid or her kid did some crazy behavior. She had a bad experience at an evaluation, or the doctor ignored her, or her school's IEP team is frustrating her. Who knows what, because there's lots of things that are going to trigger you and potentially pull you off of your path as your child's language facilitator. So you got a mantra on your list that always helps you. And a few that I have are, if it isn't fun, it isn't fun. That's my mantra. That's why it's the title of my book, right? Because if it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And if you're finding that the opportunities that are presented to you from school or therapy or your parents or your neighbors or whatever isn't fun, it's up to you to turn it around for yourself and for your child. And you always have the opportunity to react to whatever's coming at you and whatever triggers with you in a positive way for yourself. And you also have a choice to react in a negative way, lash out at that person, yell at them or whatever, but I don't think that's very fun. And it usually doesn't have a very good outcome either. So if it isn't fun, it isn't fun is a mantra. The other one that I like very much, and when you think about it, when you look at your child who is having a tantrum, pouring soap, tearing stuff up or whatever, is all behavior is communication. All behavior is communication, okay? Tantrums, sneakiness, hitting you, all of it is communication. Snuggles, smiles, sideways glances, they're all communication, okay? And the good news about it is language facilitation teach parents how to turn nonverbal communication into speech. So as long as you see communication coming from your child, you know you have information. It's the golden egg when you understand what your child is communicating to show them the words they need with language facilitation. So all behavior is communication. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And the last one that you want to remind yourself with is that my child is learning speech every day because you, as a language facilitator, are taking conscious action. You're watching this video to get this equipment and empowerment to get the job done. And so decide to do it every day. And remind yourself that your child is learning because you are taking action. They might be learning because you're taking them to therapy. They might be learning because you're playing with them. They might be learning because you're reading books, because you have them spend time with your mom. But you are facilitating that, and your child is developing every day, okay? We're not focusing on my child's not. We're focusing on my child is. My child is doing these things, okay? And that's number 9, actually, in your language facilitation list of equipment that you need for success. Number 9 is gratitude. You have to have gratitude. You mentally review your language facilitation time every single night before you go to sleep. So it's part of that everyday thing. And I put it in your everyday plan because you have to talk about those things too. And even if you don't do a journal or don't do anything and you're feeling really sad about your current position, gratitude will always help you feel better, because if you review your language facilitation time, you'll see that you tried. And if you didn't get 2 to 3 hours in that day, you understand that it doesn't happen and you make a commitment to do it again the next day. That's all. You don't let it happen. So because before you go to sleep, you have a positive mindset because you've got gratitude, because now I know what to do. You watch this video, you learned it. And if you don't know what to do, you know that there's a YouTube channel you can go to look, and you know that there's a book you can read, and you know that there's a person you can work with, because that's what I do. There are solutions. There are ways for you to get this. And maybe you don't know it yet, but you can go to sleep knowing that maybe I don't know it yet, but I know it's out there, and I'll find it tomorrow when I wake up. Okay? Transmute your energy from complaining. He's not. She's not yet. She's doing this, but not this. It's slow. It's not happening like I wanted. I can't understand it. It's not. I hear this more often from the people who follow me, even the people who work with me, who pay to work with me. He's not doing this. And every single time I hear that, I flip it over, flip it right around. And the first thing I do is I ask the parent why. Why? Why do you think that is? And they know. They always know. There's just something else to do. The child's not talking yet. That's why we call them late talking instead of speech delay, right? They're just not talking yet. Not talking as well as they did, they're talking better than they did before, but they're not talking as well as they will in the future. And you're worried about in the future versus they did. They're better. They are talking. Just like we said in the last mantra, my child is talking more every day. They are. They're, at least they're understanding and processing so they can develop to talk. If you're measuring words and counting and comparing your child to other people, that's not gratitude. That you need to transmute that he's not, I'm not, it's not, I don't have, it's not happening to yet. And you eliminate your expectations for timelines and outcomes, and you appreciate every single moment you have. You have 3 boxes full of fun and 20 activities at your disposal that you can go at any moment and enjoy time with your child. And that doesn't include reading time, right? You can do this. And your gratitude is what will help you make it. It's always what will help you make it, because when you look at the lack, you get more. And that's number 10 is your daily intention. What you need on your language facilitation list is a daily intention to manifest the outcome you want. We can make anything happen in our lives, including nonverbal kids can develop spoken language. It's happening all over the world. Why not make it happen in your house, right? Intend for it to happen. Don't hope or wish or pray. Make it happen. Intend for it to happen. Wake up every morning and tell your child flat out, say it to them. I intend to teach you to talk today. I intend to model language for you. I intend to watch you and listen to you and focus on what you want and feed the words you need so that you can learn to share your wisdom with the world. Because I want more than anything to hear that from you. I love hearing your words, and I'm going to make it easy, happy, safe, and fun for you to talk. And you tell your child that every single day. That's the mantra. Right? That's the mantra. I love hearing you talk. And I know it's challenging, but I'm going to help you. My job is to make it easy. And when it comes, I'll be happy. But we're going to be happy every day too. Okay? It's not just someday. Because that one day your child says their sentence, that first sentence, they're not going to keep talking. It's not like a light switch with language. It comes out in bits and pieces, organically, emotionally, during times when you least expect it. That's what's exciting about talking. And that's what's exciting about language facilitation, is because we pull this, we get the best language that the kids know, their heart, their ideas. And that's what makes it fun, right? That's what makes it fun. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And that's where we are right now, is you have the chance. You have these 10 equipment items, that you can put in your arsenal for your language facilitation. But it's not a war. It's a project. It's a plan. It's a journey, right? And this is the way that you're going to find the spoken language that you want, by equipping yourself with the things that I put on this list today and empowering yourself with your everyday, those last things on the list, right? Your gratitude, your effort, your mantras, your intention, your gratitude. That's how it is. So let's see. Ramya says, please repeat this point. Got it. Language facilitation mantra. Gratitude, points you're saying here is true. Kids know whatever we say. That's right. When you talk about how grateful you are and that you want to help your child, they're right there listening. And just because they're not talking yet, it doesn't mean that they don't understand spoken language. They just don't know how to use the words they need, right? And they don't know all the words they need. They know nouns usually. They know pop out things, they can label the things they want, but oftentimes they don't know how to use those words functionally. And that's what language facilitation, that's how it's different than speech therapy. So I'm super glad that all of you are joining me today. Like I said, please like and share this video with your friends. Laura says, I've learned and continue to learn so much from you. And I'm so glad I learned from all of you too. This is your chance to make an effort, and I hope to see you back. My videos are live every week on Monday on YouTube and on Thursdays on Facebook, and they get put up here on YouTube too. So thanks for understanding my technical glitches today. I'll probably redo this video and put the graphics up and republish it because I spent a lot of time creating those graphics and they're good. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking it out for a whole hour and 10 minutes for this big long list. It's a really, really important one that you can do, and I just want to equip and empower you, and this is what I'm doing. So, all right, enough babbling. Blah, 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 blah. It's time to go. Have a great week, everybody. Dig in with your language facilitation. Don't forget to comment on this video, like it, and let me know what kinds of activities that you're doing. This Christmas card activity is great. Other parents can share and learn from you. And share with your friends. So I will see you all on my next video. Bye for now.